Okay, guys, welcome back to Let's Get Freaky. Super excited tonight to welcome our next guest. We have got Cyn. Oh, did I say that correctly? I've messed it up already.
No,
I
you
did.
didn't.
I said it right. Cyn Schrader Hill. How are you? I said it
I'm
perfect
great.
before.
You did it great then. It's fine. It's fine. I am just so excited to be here. I'm so excited to talk to you and been looking forward to this and excited.
I'm
Let's
excited to have you. I'm very excited to have you.
good.
So you are an author, editor, publisher, and you're based in Tennessee, is that correct?
Yeah, the southeastern United States, so Middle Tennessee.
Awesome. I talk to a lot of people from Tennessee. It is a
Really,
cool place. Yeah,
you should come over.
I'm
You should
gonna.
come.
That's the aim. I want to get over there.
Yeah, right.
So, where does it all start for you with the paranormal?
Ah, I just jumped in recently, not very long ago, but um I was a weird kid and things were happening around me that I wasn't really understanding growing up. I didn't get starting to investigate until 2013. So I'm pretty much new to the game. And I lost my dad in 2001. And that kind of got me more interested in trying to find signs. It was he still around? Was he checking in? Anything like that. But I didn't know how to go about that. So my cousin had a team come down and investigate her art studio because she was having trouble, strange things going on. And I got the same team to come down and investigate my mom and dad's old store. We had an auto parts store that they ran for years and years and years since the 60s. So, it was quite a while. And after my dad died, my mom and my sister tried to keep it open, and two females in the South trying to keep an auto parts store going when there's Walmart, O'Reilly's, AutoZone, all these other, around them. They just couldn't keep it open. So ended up closing. And I wanted to see if my dad was still down there. So I got this team to come in and I was the trigger object. So I just basically stood in the dark and asked questions. Dad, are you here? Can you show us a sign? Anything like that. And the only there were two strange things that happened that night. One was after the team took a break and they had gone outside to smoke, and the others were checking their batteries, things like that. And I was talking to my husband, and a rock got thrown inside the store. A rock got thrown. Now, my husband had cleaned the place entirely out. It was gutted. There was nothing in there. Utilities had been turned off 2 or 3 years prior to this. So nothing was on, and there was nothing in there. It was clean. So to have a rock thrown, we found it. He threw it again to see if it made the same sound, and it was the exact same thing. So it was almost like somebody was saying, "You can't take a break now. I want to talk. I want to talk." So they came running back in and started up again. They got two EVPs, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But the only place that their instruments lit up was the one spot that my dad's desk chair sat for 30 years.
Oh,
That
wow.
was yeah. So his energy, or some residual energy or something, was still in that spot. And they got two EVPs. One was this weird holy mackerel, which nobody in my family ever said. So it was something before it was an auto parts store. There was an ice cream factory. There was a furniture store, Red Cross building. It was even a turkey slaughterhouse back in the late 1800s. So, a little bit of everything. Down in the basement, they still had vats, the concrete vats where they would boil the turkeys. And they got an EVP in the basement and it was the turkeys clucking.
Oh, wow. I've not had that on the show yet. Turkey ghosts.
Right? And I mean, just think about it. It was on their worst day ever. Poor
Yeah.
turkeys. They weren't happy.
Yeah.
So I was hooked. That night, I was completely hooked. And they asked me to join the team. I became their case manager and actually found spots for us to investigate. And I wanted to find those voices. Since I only got two, I really wanted to find those voices. And so that kind of became what I focused on.
Yeah.
And the whole time I was with them, I knew I wanted my own team, but I didn't know how to go about it. So they trained me. And in several months before, it was right around 2014 is when I formed Elk Valley Paranormal. And everything around here in this little town or this county is called Elk Valley something. Elk Valley Times is the newspaper, Elk Valley whatever. So Elk Valley Paranormal, EVP, I'm looking for those voices. So see, it was perfect for
Yeah.
me. And
Meant to
that
be.
was right. So that's what started everything. And that was 2014 when I started that.
Wow. That's wild that you got the turkey sounds as well. I mean, like people will laugh and go, "Oh, turkey ghost," like I just did. But I mean, that's wild. I mean, the history that was there would obviously relates to the turkeys, and you're hearing that. I mean, how can you explain that?
Right. So, I mean, I've talked to several people that have had pets visit, but haven't heard anybody else say anything about turkeys. We were doing the news one night on Legit Podcast News, the paranormal news on Wednesday night. And one of the stories I found was from the UK, and it was about a chicken ghost. Did you know about that one?
No, tell me about that.
You guys have a chicken ghost. And it's a pond. It's around a pond area. And this was back years and years and years ago. I believe it was Sir Francis Bacon was coming through the area, and he was riding with the king's medical something. He was riding with somebody that took care of the king, and they were talking about different things. And one of the things that he was fascinated with is how to preserve food to make it last longer. And he said, we ought to be able to freeze them. And the medical guy said, how are you going to do that? And he says, well, let's stop here. And they stopped at whatever this pond name is and talked someone into letting them have a chicken. They killed it. They cleaned it. They stuffed it with snow. And that was your first frozen chicken. But,
Oh, wow, that's where it started.
right? But you would think, oh, and I believe Sir Francis Bacon got pneumonia right after that and ended up dying. So he didn't get to see what he'd actually come up with, right? But he doesn't check back in at this place. It's the angry chicken that shows up.
Wow, what do they hear it and see it? Like people,
They People have heard it, and they have seen this thing, a plucked chicken coming after them, and then it just disappears.
wow. I think that's what I'm going to call this episode: Ghost Chicken and Turkey.
I love it. I
That's
love it.
wild. That's
Yeah.
wild though. See, I've never had that. Like that's two straight away, turkeys and chickens. Never had that before. Wow.
I've had a couple of people tell me that they have heard horse neighs
Mhm.
and things like that. I A friend of mine was talking a couple of weeks ago about hearing a carriage and horse hooves, clip clopping,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So I'm sure that's residual, but there's all kinds of animal ghosts that
Oh,
shake my
100%.
head.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people, when a pet passes, for it seems, and I've heard so many people say this, including my brother's experienced this as well. Um, like when a pet passes, a lot of the times you will still hear it and sometimes feel it in the same, so it would stick to its same routine and you would hear that.
Yeah.
And I've so
Mhm.
many people have told me that they've heard the pet running up the stairs and they felt it jump between their legs if it's a cat or a dog normally. Like there seems to be something to that, whether they're, whether it's residual and it's just, a lot of memory, or
Yeah.
are they saying goodbye and you're letting you know that they're on the other side, and because
Yeah.
it normally seems to be for a couple of weeks or whatever after. I find that really interesting. And that happened to my brother as well. He used to
Did
hear
it really?
our old dog run up the stairs. And my brother's not massively into the paranormal like I am. He's very much a skeptic, but he says, can't explain it. Used to hear him running up the stairs after he passed and used to feel him. He actually felt him jump between his legs like he used to do.
Oh,
And yeah, so that's
that
wild.
that that might not be residual if he actually felt it.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
who knows?
It's a nice thought to think that they stick about and
I think so too. We had a ghost cat for a little while. I've only been married to my husband a little over 12 years now. And when I first moved in, this was his bachelor pad. So it was like this little cabin out in the woods. And um, I
oh,
had
that
a
sounds
cat,
cool.
right? It's nice. It's nice. It's away from a lot, just it looks like in the woods. But I was moving my stuff in a little at a time, and my cat was going to be the last thing I moved in because, cats are kind of freaky. They don't like new stuff and, you know, all the hustle and bustle. So I waited. One night he had already fallen asleep and I was trying to go to sleep. I'm an insomniac, just a terrible insomniac. Are you too?
Yeah,
I think a lot of us paranormal people are just that's just what happens. I
yeah,
don't know.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm scared
And
of the
I
dark, so I think that.
would really.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I'm on my own, I'll have the telly on. If I'm on my own, because I'm scared of the dark, because of yeah, I'm
Well,
not, I'm not,
sometimes
I'm not proud of it.
no, it depends on where you are.
Yeah,
Depends on where you are. So I bet you're not afraid of the dark everywhere.
no, no, I
Yeah.
do, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so I'm trying to fall asleep and I feel Bella, my cat, jump up on the bed and turn around and lay down by my feet. And I was just about asleep and I went, oh, that's so sweet. Bella's gonna lay down and go to sleep with me. And then my eyes popped open. I went, wait a minute, Bella's not here yet. We've got a ghost cat. We've got a ghost cat. And so I was smiled. I was like, "Oh, I can't wait to talk to him about it." I didn't say anything the next day. He gets up early and goes to work, and I get up later and all that kind of stuff. So it was a couple of days. We were trying to fall asleep. He hadn't fallen asleep yet, and it happened. The cat jumped up on the bed, and I said, "Did you feel that?" And he said, "Uh-huh." I said, "What was it?" And he said, "I don't know." And I said, "Has it happened before?" And he said, "Yep." I said, "Were you going to tell me about it?" And he said, "Nope."
Well,
I said, "Why not?" He said, "I was waiting for you to tell me." I said, "What do you think it is?" He said, "I don't know." I said, "It's a ghost cat. It's a cat." And he said, "Oh, yeah, I can see where that would be." And then when I actually moved Bella in, she never acted like any other cat was there. There was never a problem. So I you want me to continue this story because it gets weird?
yeah, 100%. Yeah,
So, okay, so skip ahead about 2 years, and we're going up to see my husband's family up in Pennsylvania. And so we're going across and we see several around the Pittsburgh area, and then we're taking a little vacation. So We went to the Lancaster Dutch country. We went to Gettysburg. We went to Valley Forge. The Valley Forge day was really hot. And I had gotten a little bit of food poisoning in Pittsburgh. So that kind of sidelined me for about 24 hours. But once we got to Valley Forge, I was feeling a little better, but not 100%. And the heat, just wasn't helping. So he went and got the truck and we left. The next day, we were in Philadelphia and I was fine. All those symptoms were gone. I'd gotten over everything. I even had a Philly cheesesteak. Not a problem. So we were doing the tour stuff. We came down through Shenandoah National Park through Virginia and then back to Tennessee. And about 2 or 3 days later, I realized something was different at the house. Wasn't sure exactly what, but I could hear something different and the energy was changed. So I waited for him to go to work. And I got my recorder out and started walking around asking questions. And I came out of the bathroom and I said, I'm going to turn the light off now. And the only EVP I got was, thank you. It's like, I knew it. I knew somebody was here. I knew it. So I started asking questions, all kinds of stuff. And I used copper rods. I used my spirit box. I used everything I could think of to try to get answers. It ended up being a woman from the Valley Forge area that had been a nurse during that era, during the war. And she hooked onto me because I was sick. And I was feeling better the next day. It was the weirdest thing. She came all the way back to Tennessee with us. And after about, I guess it was 2 to 3 months later, I was talking to a friend of mine and I said, I'm feeling like my little friend is getting a little antsy. How can I help her? What can I do? And he said, tell her thank you, obviously. And he said, but wish her back home. If she wants to go home, wish her home. And so I did. And I thanked her for everything she'd helped me with. And I loved her company there. If she wanted to stay, it was fine. But if she wanted to go back home, she was more than welcome to. And it was almost within that 24-hour period, instantaneously, the energy shifted again. And she was gone. In the next few days, I noticed so was the ghost cat. She took the ghost cat. They bonded.
Oh, wow.
So I've never heard of that happening.
No,
But she liked my ghost cat. My ghost cat liked her, and they went back.
that's
Or somewhere.
interesting.
They
Yeah.
went somewhere.
Wow. Because a lot of people say, like, because obviously we don't know, but some people say that spirits are trapped to certain places and things like that. But that doesn't seem to be the case. You, and obviously on investigations, you always run the risk of bringing something home.
Yeah.
You brought something home that's a good energy there.
A good thing. Thank goodness.
Yeah. But wow, what sort of things were you experiencing over that 3 months that she was
Yeah.
with you?
It was just it was light. Yeah, it was just there was no animosity in the air. It was just, how you go into some haunted places and it's heavy
Hmm.
and it'll bring you down really quick. You can't breathe very well. It wasn't like that at all. It was just always upbeat and it was nice. It was just nice. But when it got toward that 3 month time, 2 to 3 month time, it started getting a little bit less light.
Hmm.
So it was almost like she was antsy, you know? She wasn't as happy as she could be.
Okay. Was you communicating with her throughout this time as well?
I would just acknowledge her and say, "Hi, good morning," or, just walking through the house saying,
Could
"Hope
you,
you're having a good day," whatever.
yeah, could you see her though? Was it,
Oh, I wish I could. Gosh, I wish I could. But I just hear voices, and occasionally I get to see
Mhm.
someone. Not very often.
Yeah.
Not very often.
What sort of cases would you see someone, and how do you see spirits or entities?
I have seen the little girl spirit at the old hospital straight on. That's the only one I've seen straight on. I've seen shadows straight
Mhm.
on, but not really good apparitions where you can actually tell who or what it is.
Yeah.
Um, the little girl, I knew who it was instantly. Um, the others I've seen, there are two others I've seen, and they were in reflection. So one was in reflection of a flat screen TV that was off. You know how shiny they are.
Mhm.
And I was over at a residence talking to this girl that they were having some kind of issue. She couldn't tell who it was. And uh, while she was talking to me, I saw something out of the corner of my eye and then looked at the computer screen, and I saw this beautiful redheaded lady walking behind me. She was dressed formally. She had an evening gown on, just very, very classy. And I turned, and of course, I didn't see her. It's like my mind is saying, no, you're not ready for this. You can't see something straight on yet, or I don't know.
Mhm.
But I turned, didn't see her. But Pam said, "Did you just see something?" And I said, "Who's the redhead?" And she said, "You saw a redhead?" And I said, "She's beautiful. She's gorgeous and is dressed up in an evening gown." She said, "That's my husband's mother." So she was showing herself as a young woman.
Wow.
And I'm beautiful, long red hair, gorgeous, gorgeous. The other thing I saw was not gorgeous. The other thing I saw was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was in reflection also. I was sitting at a desk, very, very shiny desk. You could see your reflection in that desk. And it was at an old business. They were having all kind of issues. People, their customers were hearing strange things. Doors were getting slammed. They had caught a couple of things on camera that they couldn't explain. And so I went in and I asked to sit where one of their customers had been terrorized. And so they left me alone, and I sat there at this desk. I opened a can of soda, and I was playing a game on my phone, just waiting for something to happen. So I had my recorder going. Um, what else? I had a K2 meter out over to the side, and I was playing solitaire. So I'm just waiting anything. And I only heard like what sounded like building settling, pops, creaks, nothing that you would go, oh, well, that's got to be something paranormal. Nothing. And I even started, and I don't normally do this, but I even started antagonizing it just a little bit, saying, if that's you, that's not enough. You've got to do something bigger. So something, there was this strange bird clock on the wall right there, and it went off, and it made this strange, it was one of the woodland birds, and it made a strange clicking sound. And I just looked up because I'd never heard it. I never heard that bird. And I just thought that was weird and said it out loud. And I said, but I don't think that was paranormal either. And I saw something move, and I looked down into the reflection and saw this black cloud with eyes float over my head. And behind me I didn't know what it was. I knew I'd never seen anything like that before. And all I did was say, "Oh, I think I saw something." The EVP that I got right after that said, "It was me."
Whoa.
It was the weirdest. It was the weirdest. Um,
So you say that looked like a cloud with a
yeah,
face?
it was a black cloud. You know how when a kid draws a cloud, it's really fluffy? That's what it looked like, a black fluffy cloud with two white eyes in it, and it just floated over. I, I didn't know if it was some kind of elemental spirit. I didn't know exactly what it was, but that was what was causing all of the stuff that was going on around there, the loud noises, the slamming doors, the different
Yeah.
things, footsteps.
Did you get
So,
a negative feeling when that happened?
yeah, yeah, I did. I did. But it was more of a intimidation thing.
Mhm.
So I have never run into anything demonic. Not that I want to,
Mhm.
I don't want to, but this was just more of a trickster, I think. Um, they wanted to scare everybody. So that was the main one, and it would change shape. So you would either see it in a cloudy mist, or it would be an elongated shadow.
Mhm.
So it was
Did
all over the place.
was other people seeing this as well then?
Yes, it was being caught on camera, but the
Oh
camera
wow.
was catching it in not so much of a shadow, but like static that was moving. It was very, very odd. They caught it on camera actually climbing up into one of the desk chairs and looking at the camera. It knew where the cameras were.
Whoa.
It's the weirdest thing.
What, the chair moved towards the camera?
It
That's
looked
weird.
right at the camera. It knew exactly what it was doing.
Whoa.
It
Yeah, that's wild.
it still hangs out down there, but it doesn't, you know, run people off like it did, because they tell people, no, it's just a little trickster we've got down here. It's not dangerous.
Oh man. You guys are
But it's
braver than me. That would freak me right out. So you saw it as a cloud with eyes. Did anyone else see it that way as well?
no, no. So I think what it does is it chooses what it thinks would scare that particular person more.
Hmm.
And I had never seen anything like that. I'd seen something that looks like a person, something that looks like an animal, nothing that looked like a cloud with eyes. I was kind of out of my element on that one.
Yeah. So do you think that was possibly a dark spirit, a
I
demonic spirit?
I don't. I think it was just wanted to maybe uh cause problems. I don't think it was a bad spirit. I think it was more of a trickster. I got so many I got more EVPs at that location than I've gotten at any other location ever. And we were only down there maybe 3 or 4 hours, but I had so many EVPs that when I came back to to do the reveal with them and tell them what I'd caught, I recorded again just to be sure. And it, I got more. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. They were intelligent. They were with you as soon as you walked in the door and stayed the entire time. Um, they would try to intimidate you. And one of them, when I brought my recorder back, said something like, she's back with notes. And then another one said, find out her name.
Oh,
Or
wow.
yeah.
So you think
Yeah.
there was more than one? There was a few, whatever they were.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Now, the one that said find out her name, he might have been much darker. I don't know. I didn't have to deal with him. I just dealt with the little trickster.
Was you picking up different voices?
Yes. Yes. So, um, my third book, They're Speaking, Are You Listening? My Most Compelling EVPs. And these are available on Amazon. So in the UK, everywhere, all over.
Awesome.
They're on Amazon. Yeah.
Awesome.
Um, so
I'm gonna be getting them, and
well,
I'll share the links so people can find them
oh,
easy as well.
thank you so much. Thank you so much. That third book was actually supposed to be my first one, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. And because I wanted you to be able to experience the EVPs while you read about my investigations. And that investigation is in that third book. And you can go to elkvalleyparanormal.com to the evidence section, to the drop down menu. You click on They're Speaking, and it's got all of the EVPs in that book. So you can actually read about what I was going through and then listen to the EVPs.
Oh wow, that's a good idea.
Thank you. I wanted it to be my first book, but I couldn't figure out how I wanted to do it.
Yeah, I was
So it took,
looking at the names of your books. You've got some they've got some incredible names. Like
thank
everyone
you.
grabs you.
Thank you.
So are they all experiences that you've had?
The for the majority of them, yes. The so let me just go through. So the first one is Whispers in the Dark, True Ghost Stories. And my friend, he's a psychic medium, does the covers and the illustrations in there.
Oops.
But this one is mostly about the county I live in. So there's 23 short stories, and only 5 are out of the county. All the rest are here around here. Things that have happened to me, my team, some of my friends, different things like that. Then Mark and I decided to write a fiction book just to see if we could do it. So that's this one. This is the only fiction, Web of Terror. So that's the only fiction one I got.
Awesome.
Then we did They're Speaking, Are You Listening? That's the one I was just talking about. So you can read this one and then go listen to the EVPs. The fourth one, God kind of put it in my lap and said, you need to write a book about signs. And I didn't have enough about signs. I had, my mom had seen my grandmother. My mom had heard my dad taking a shower, his footsteps. She had heard her mother walking in the kitchen, things like that. But I didn't have a lot. So I started writing it, and then I put a feeler out on Facebook and told people what I was looking for: near-death experiences, deathbed conversations where someone's in hospice and they're getting ready to die and they're talking to somebody that you can't see. That happens a lot.
Yeah.
Pets coming back to you, saying hello, apparitions showing up, dreams and visions, and signs like pennies from heaven, feathers, cardinals, anything like that. And I got so many stories from all over the country, even one from England. And I was so excited because the English girl wrote about her grandfather and his cat. They had both gotten cancer. He died, and he begged her to take care of his cat for him. She did. The cat ended up with cancer, same as him. The cat died, and they both came back to visit her. So this was such a rewarding experience getting to read everybody's what they had been through. It's incredible. There's so many out there that have had things happen. And
Mhm.
two, I would get this a lot. I've never told anybody this story.
Yeah.
Well, let's do it. And what I did was after each story, I would do a little memorial section. So
Oh, that's
it's
awesome.
in memory of whoever. And if they wanted to do a birth and death date, I did that. Um, on the pets, a lot of them didn't know a birth date. So they would just say in memory of Chance and the death year and things like that. But they got to give a little, in memorial
Yeah,
too.
that's
So
awesome.
it was a great experience, so much so that I've got a second one coming out. I had like 10 people after this came out saying, "Oh, I've got a story for you." Well, let's do another book.
Yeah,
So that'll be out later this year. We'll see what
awesome.
happens with that. And then my last book I did is the darker stuff that has happened. And this is Realm of Shadows, True Ghost Stories and Eerie Tales. And it is not only my stories, but friends of mine, a lot of paranormal investigators that I know have written in stories, really strange things that had happened. The one of the weirdest ones that ever happened to me was we went into this residence over about an hour and a half from here, and she had been having problems in her home and was starting to get worried about her family being, maybe she didn't want them hurt. And she was afraid if things continued that things might start happening. So she was worried. And she had in the past used Ouija board, and which is, that's okay if you're safe with it, right? But she was also into black magic, which to me that's a little scary. That's a little
Hmm.
scary. But
Yeah.
she promised that she was done with that. She had gotten rid of all the books. She'd gotten rid of the Ouija board and all that kind of stuff. She turned over, she, going back to church and everything. So we get there. We walk in and it's very heavy, very heavy. I have never seen so many crucifixes and mirrors on all of the walls. And there were wind chimes in every room, in the house, inside the house, all over the place. And at the time, I didn't know what that meant. Afterwards, reading, you find that spirits, evil spirits and bad spirits, don't like the bells of the wind chimes. It's the vibration and the frequency is too high. So that clears out space. The mirrors, they don't like to see themselves. They want to scare you, but they don't want to see what they look like. I didn't know that. I had
Oh,
no idea.
interesting.
I didn't know that. So I get the spirit box out, and the lady is in there with us, and she's asking who it is that's tormenting her. And the first thing I hear is, and that came straight out of the spirit box. Very easy to understand. And I said, they're saying, and she said, I don't know. Who are you? Who are you? You're lying. And they keep telling her out of the spirit box, you're lying. And we find out a little bit later, she's not thrown away her books. She's not thrown away anything. She's still into something. She called whatever these things are into her house. They're not going anywhere. And they basically told us we couldn't make them leave. So I found all of this out when I got home and ran it through the computer and my Audacity program. And I called up the team leader. It was that first group I was with. And I called the team leader and I said, "You're not going to believe these EVPs. They are dark. They are, I'm going to eat you. You're never going to get away from me. Um, I'm going to put you in the dirt and just, just bad stuff." And he said, "Don't worry about it. She just called right before you did and said she doesn't want to know." What? I said, "I guess because she already does." So I don't even know if that woman is still alive.
Oh man,
I don't know.
it's wild to think that you would want these negative energies around you. That is really wild.
I know. I know. Why? Why? Unless they had, you know, gotten into her and changed her completely.
Yeah.
But yeah, she didn't want us to come back because we'd already found out too much.
Wow. I mean, that doesn't bear thinking about, like inviting that sort of stuff.
No, no. You can understand people playing around,
Hmm.
not knowing what they're doing,
Yeah.
but then trying to fix it, going, "Oh, I messed up. I can't do that. I need help to get rid of this." But no, that wasn't what this was.
Yeah.
I think, got into it so deeply and realized how bad it was and tried to get out of it then, but by then it was too late.
Yeah. I have talked to people that have experienced negative energies around them and they don't want to lose that. I've actually talked to people that openly said that to me, and
They
I'm
don't want
like,
to lose
they get a comfort from it or whatever. But I mean, I don't. It's wild. I mean,
comfort.
each to their own, I guess. But but it's yeah, it's worrying. But
Yeah.
I've talked to people that have said that to me and said they don't want to lose these, negative energies that are, entities.
Are they like incubus, succubus?
Yeah, yeah, that kind of thing.
I've
Very
heard,
freaky.
yeah, I've heard a lot of people into that kind of stuff
Yeah, yeah,
want to keep their ghost around.
yeah, yeah.
I just,
I mean,
no,
not for me.
no. And I'm thinking too, I bet they can't see this thing. I bet they can't see it. And if they could, they would be like, "Oh, God, I can't believe I let that happen."
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Because I think possession is possibly a very real thing, and I've talked to people that have experienced this, and many people have experienced this, and it seems to be a more common thing than sometimes we think. And to invite something like that, have you got a possession? Is there something on you and you're not really I don't know, but yeah, it's worrying. That's
I
for
don't want
sure.
it. I
No,
don't want it. Mm-mm,
nice
mm-mm.
energies.
Right? The good stuff, like
Yeah,
the nurse, the cat.
yeah,
I'm happy with those. But,
yeah.
I don't know how you feel about Zach Bagans, but when he came over to, oh, what was the name of the old Ram or something? The inn.
Oh, the old Ram Inn, is that
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah, yeah, yeah.
UK? Yeah,
Yeah. And he went down into the basement, I think, and the succubus came out. You know, I was like,
yeah,
uh, ratings aren't
yeah, yeah. Is it really worth putting yourself? I
exactly.
mean, everywhere he goes, he finds a demon. That's for sure.
Yeah,
But-
yeah, they're everywhere. Would they follow him?
and I've heard a lot of strange things about he's got a haunted museum in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
I've heard a lot of strange things about that. I've talked to people that have been there and said it's strange because it's got a lot of haunted objects and
right.
cursed objects and things like that, and that is going to bring a negative energy. And I've heard a lot of people say you have to sign a wager before you go in there.
Yeah,
I mean, that for me, nah, already.
I would like to go in. I would
Yeah, I
like to
probably
go,
would.
you
Yeah.
know, but I'm thinking he's just asking for it. One of these days, he's really going to get bit,
Hmm.
and it's
Yeah.
not going to be a good thing. It's
Yeah.
not going to be good. But yeah, he's got like Dr. Kevorkian's van, the Dr. Death.
Yeah.
Um, he has Bella Lugosi's mirror, and he did have Annabelle for a while, the doll, but I think they rent her out to different places.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'm not sure how I feel about that either.
yeah,
Oh, even looking at the pictures of that freaked me out, Even
right. Ah, there's
wild.
a there's a doll down in Key West I would like to see. Just to take a picture of it. That's Robert the doll. Have you heard of that one?
No, I haven't heard of that one.
It's a it's a it's a boy doll, and he's possessed and has caused different things to happen. They have him in a case. So
Yeah. Yeah, not for me.
no, uh,
I look from a
there's
distance.
right, right. Yeah, I'll be away from the
Yeah.
case. But no, I don't want to touch it. I don't want to touch it.
No, no, not at all. You
Mm-mm.
you you said earlier, going back to what you said at the start. Oh, I can just hear my voice. It's gone. Um, you said earlier you was a weird kid, and I hear that a lot, and I refer to myself as a weird kid as well, because that seems to be where it starts.
I
What
think so too.
what sort of things were you experiencing as a kid growing up into this?
Uh, when I was very little, I would just things around I didn't want to be by myself in different parts of the house. Um, the house that I grew up in was built in the 1800s, and they actually moved it from its location and rolled it down the hill on logs to put it where I grew up. And we eventually dug the basement out and made it a bigger home. But something about that house, different parts of it just felt different. And I didn't want to be in the dark in some of them. Like you're talking about the dark, something about it. I didn't want to
Yeah,
be there. And as I about 7 or 8 years old, I had a doll collection. And up until, let's see, 7 and 8, up to about 13, 14, somewhere around that, those years, I couldn't, this is going to sound so silly, but I couldn't change clothes in front of these dolls. I had to turn them around so they weren't looking at me. So, and I later on talking to somebody, they were like, probably had something attached to one of them. And then, oh, maybe. I don't know. I don't have them anymore. I don't want them. I didn't want
yeah,
them. I got rid of them. Um, but that, and then when I was 10, I started having panic attacks, really bad panic attacks. Some of them are emergency room. You'd have to go to emergency room for. And I didn't know what was going on. It was back in a time you didn't talk about things like that. You didn't talk about ghosts. You didn't talk about anything weird, because you'd be sent to a psychiatrist immediately. Boom. And so I didn't. Nobody said it. Nobody talked. So I never had anybody to talk to. Right. And when I started ghost hunting in 2013, I finally found out why I was having panic attacks, or at least think that's why I was having it. That I was taking on people's energy without knowing it. And I was already a real sensitive kid, and really easily excitable. I really up high, down low, whatever. But I was taking on other people's energy on top of mine, and it was causing panic attacks. So, I wish I'd known way back then because years and years of that was horrible. I don't know if you've ever had one, but they're awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. They're just, everything. When I had mine, everything got too bright, too loud. Everything was too colorful, um, too real. Everything was too real, almost like you were walking in a dream. And, it was like, okay, all right, pinch myself, make sure, am I awake? What's going on here? Yeah. And then you think you're going crazy. So in 2013, I finally figured out, oh, I'm sensitive. I'm a little bit of an empath. So I was taking other people's stuff on top of mine. And so now I've learned how to kind of block that.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
That must have been a huge relief, because I don't like I still get anxiety. I still can panic. I still can have
Yeah.
those feelings. I feel like I can sort of control it a bit better now, but I've gone through phases in my life where it's been strong and it's been hard, and it's not nice. So it must feel good that
No.
you can
Yeah.
control that.
Well, and that might help you too. Maybe you are more sensitive than you think.
Yeah. People keep
Maybe
telling me that.
you probably are then. If more
Yeah.
people are telling you that, you should probably listen a little.
Yeah, shit. Yeah, panic attacks are horrible. I actually remember when I first moved to this house that I'm in now, and I love it here, and there's not a bad vibe in this house, but weird things do happen sometimes, but I just think that follows me. But um I had a few weeks where I was having bad panic attacks, and it wasn't something that I've had panic attacks throughout my life, but not as bad as this was. And I think it was because I was going between jobs, and I was in a new place, and it was worrying me. And I remember there was a week where it was like really bad, and managed to get out of it somehow. And since doing the podcast, that's sort of, I'm too busy now to to have panic
Yeah.
attack, I think. But yeah, so it's not nice to go through it. I've been through it.
No, no, you have to get your mind on something else.
Yeah.
And if you can just breathe, take some
hmm
deep breaths. That's hard, when you're
Yeah.
going through one of those,
Yeah.
because it's scary. You think it's your heart.
Yeah.
You,
Oh, yeah.
oh man, I've have you ever had to go to the emergency room for one?
I've nearly gone to the emergency room, and to be honest, looking back, probably should have done, because I was really worried, and I was, like you said, I was feeling like my heart was going, and I used to ring up like my brother, or my dad, or my wife, whatever, and tell them how I'm feeling, and they'd sort of calm me down. So I've been
Yeah.
there where I've been like panicking, and I felt my heart, and I'm like, oh man, this is not good. I should go to the hospital. And it's a horrible feeling. It's the
It
worst feeling.
is. It is, and you can't get away from it. It's
No.
just you got to write it out. You got
hmm
to go through it and
hmm
breathe. But interestingly enough, you had the people around you that you would call, though. I did too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had a handful of people that I would call and say, I'm having a panic attack. I need you to talk me down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they would talk, and tell me a story. I don't care. Tell me a story about when you were little. Anything.
Yeah. Oh, for
Just
sure. Because I know as well that my dad and my brother, that's why I used to call them a lot as well, because I know that they'd sort of experienced similar and had similar, and they'd called me in the past if they were having problems. And
wow.
so we sort of know when we're having those attacks, and even though you're sort of having a panic attack, and it's probably not your heart, and you're making yourself feel like it is, you still, a part of you's like, no, this could be my heart, and then you start panicking
Yeah.
about.
Yes.
Oh,
Because
it's horrible.
I mean, some of them are so bad, you actually think you're dying.
Yeah.
You actually think you're dying. And,
And
you
for
know,
someone, because before I'd experienced that, and it wasn't that long ago, really. Um, I'd heard people say that, and I was like, no, I've had panic attacks. It's not that bad. And then you have a bad one, and you're like, yeah, it is. You feel like, as you just said, you feel like you're dying, and it's the
mhm,
worst feeling ever.
it is the worst ever. It is the worst. And I feel so bad for anybody having to
Hmm.
go through those. They're
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah. If you can talk to someone or find a way to stop it happening, for me, it's staying busy, not worrying about the past or the future, and trying to live in the moment, which is difficult sometimes, but that's what I try and do. And
Yeah.
that seems to work for me. But
And having people around you can talk to.
having 100%, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
It's
And just
important to talk about it. That's for
it
sure.
is. It really is. And we can talk about it now. As
Hmm.
you know, growing up, I couldn't. It just wasn't done. But you can talk about anything now.
Hmm. Yeah,
So don't suffer. Don't suffer. And you know, you might be a little bit of an empath. You might be very sensitive and not realize it, or
yeah,
be more sensitive than you know.
hmm, yeah.
So there's
So
that.
since 2013, and you sort of realizing that this is what was happening to you, has your abilities grown, would you
I
say?
have. I have. Um, and it's really weird too. My friend Mark, I told you he's a medium, and whenever I am with him, if I'm standing with him, for some reason, I just know things. So I don't, you know, I like being around him just so things can happen like that. But um, we've done a couple of investigations together, and he would be there. And somebody else in the group said, you know, there's a woman here. She stays around here. I don't know if she's here today. And I said, oh, she's upstairs. And then I thought, I don't, you don't know that. Where did that come from? Things like that just pop out of
Yeah,
my mouth.
just a
And
knowing.
yeah, and Mark always says, yep. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm getting energy from him that's making me more open.
Hmm.
I don't know. I hope so. I would like that.
Yeah,
But
it's
he's
interesting.
he's actually um he's always been a little different and had a really tough childhood, and was gay. So brought up in a very you know, big male macho person. You know, his father. So he was beaten, and you know,
Oh
just all
man.
this stuff because he was gay and different. And when he was 30 years old, he was in a horrible random act of violence where he got beaten up almost to death. And his friends had to take him to the ER, and they actually had to use the paddles on him to bring him back to life.
Oh
So
man.
I know it happened twice, and I want to say they had to use the paddles 3 times on him. But after he came back, he not only knew stuff, he could actually see these spirits.
Wow.
So a lot of times that happens with these
Yeah.
near death experiences. Everything kind of opens up a little bit more.
Mhm.
And
Did he actually pass over and
he
was
did.
brought back?
He did. They used the paddles on him. He flatlined completely
Wow.
twice that I know of, and I think it was a third time.
Wow.
But
What was his
you
experience? Does he
you
remember?
would like you would like to get him on your show.
Yeah, that'd be
He
cool.
would be really he would love talking to you too.
Yeah, I'd love to have him on.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, he's oh man, he's interesting.
yeah. Well, maybe we'll set that up.
Yeah, yeah.
I was going to ask you what he experienced when he passed, but I might save that for when he comes on then.
Yeah, yeah, because he's got several stories. He's given me a few stories
Hmm.
for the books that have happened. So he's an interesting guy. I do his books for him. I edit for him, and we have our own little publishing thing together. So these are the self-published books on Amazon. And so right now, I'm taking a break from my books and working on his because he does the covers and the illustrations for me, and I edit for him. So we kind of flip flop.
Okay, that's
And
cool.
yeah, And so the book I'm working on now is his, and it's called My Mean Old Grandma's Good Old Cookbook. And I'm still getting recipes from him. He sent me another one today, but it's gonna be the weirdest book. It's gonna be great. The first part of it is normal recipes, good stuff. I mean, you'll be going through going, oh, that sounds so good. Oh my goodness. Baked oranges? Yes, please. And then, and then the next part of the book, the last part, he's gonna have a skull and crossbones and say, if you're squeamish, don't open this part of the book. And he's got like possum, tripe, lots of tripe, haggis. He's got, just sardines, weird.
Yeah.
What was the one? Stargazy pie, that kind of stuff. And
Interesting. I'll eat it
yeah,
all. I'll try
yeah.
anything.
Would try it. I don't want to fix it though.
Mhm.
So if you bake it, I would try it. But I don't want to bake it. I don't want it. I don't want to. I'll try it.
I'll
But
try
yes.
anything. I'm one of those. I will try anything. There's not a lot of food that I don't like.
Have you ever had to spit something out though?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Have you?
I'm trying to think of something though that I've not. I've corn. So I've got this thing with corn, which is like you know what corn is, yeah.
Corn?
So corn is corn. It's like so. It's like a fake meat. It's like a
Oh,
mushroom. I think. I
oh,
think it's
okay.
mushrooms.
Okay. Okay.
But my mother-in-law, because she's a vegetarian, she cooks a lot of corn dinners, and for some reason I'm sick after eating these. And it's happened about 4 times. I think I'm allergic to it, but I don't really know what it is, to be honest. But so that's a bit weird.
You're allergic to something in it.
Yeah, yeah. But I think
Yeah.
it's just mushrooms. It's meant to taste like meat, whatever it is. So yeah, that's my weird food. Possible allergy, but
Maybe. Maybe. Do you not like mushrooms by themselves?
no, I love mushrooms. I love
Well,
mushrooms.
then
Yeah, I don't
maybe
know.
it's something else. Maybe it's
Yeah,
something else in it.
I don't really know what
Because
corn is, to be honest. I need to look into it more. But
we don't
whatever it
call it.
is, it doesn't agree with me. What do you
Yeah.
call it?
I'm not really sure. I mean, we've got vegetarian dishes.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm not sure
I don't really
of
know what it is,
another
to be honest.
name. I
It makes me sick, so I avoid it.
I would too. I would too.
Going to 2013, when
Uh-huh.
you first start paranormal investigating, had you had seen anything before that time? Had you seen spirit, shadow figures, anything like that?
Not that I remember. Um, and at that point, I wasn't looking. Um, because as a kid, I was a scaredy cat. So I didn't want to know anything. I didn't want to see anything. And it wasn't until much later that I wanted to be involved in paranormal investigating and seeing a ghost. And I always, since I was little, loved horror movies, except for Jaws. Now,
Oh,
Jaws,
it's my favorite.
oh, when he bit the guy's stomach and he threw up blood, oh, I
Yeah,
couldn't, I was sick. I was
yeah.
sick.
There's some nasty scenes in there, but that is
Yeah.
probably, I would say, it's hard to say my favorite because I've got so many, but Jaws is probably up there with one of my
Is
favorites. Love it, man.
I can watch it now. I can watch it now. But give me a good horror movie. That's how I relax.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
want to I want to watch a good one before I go to bed. I just want comfort,
Yeah, I
you
do.
know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get a comfort from them.
But now, but when I was little, anything would scare me. I
So,
started, I think, when I was 10, 9 or 10, I started reading Edgar Allan Poe, and he is still my favorite author. So I think that kind of started opening my eyes to weird stuff that could happen. Maybe that's why the dolls started really bothering me. Maybe that's why the dark really started bothering me. I
Mhm.
don't know,
Yeah.
but I was just more aware of it, maybe.
There's definitely something with the paranormal being open to it, I think. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just my opinion. I think if you're open to it and you believe it, chances are you're going to experience stuff. I think
Right.
because most people do experience paranormal activity. Most people, I would say, and the
Mm-hmm.
people that don't are normally the ones that go, "Nah, it's all rubbish. I've never seen anything," and they probably never will because that's their belief, and that they might be blocking it out. I'm not saying that they're definitely
Right.
wrong or
Right.
whatever, but they just, for whatever reason, won't accept it.
Well, and a lot of people do block it out
Hmm.
and they do it on purpose. And that's okay. That's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I get
But
it because
then,
it's scary.
yeah, but then you have other people that say, "Oh, I don't believe in that stuff. No way, no how." And they've seen something.
Hmm. Yeah,
They've seen something to be that adamant about it.
yeah.
You know, they
I had a friend not long ago say it said to me, you know, talking about the podcast and stuff, and he was like, "No, I don't believe in all that and all this," and then he told me a story that he saw a
see.
woman sitting on the end of his bed when he was a kid, and I was like,
Well, then how do
"Man, what
you
was
don't
that
believe
then?"
it?
Yeah,
Right? Right?
what
What did
was
he
that? Yeah,
what did he
he saw a lady sitting on the end of his bed, and he said it was a ghost, but he evidently still doesn't believe in it. But I don't know. I don't
how
know.
can he not?
I know that's what I said. I know a lot of people. You find a lot of people that, as you just said, will say they don't believe it, but they have had a mad experience. One of my friends who said he's sort of on the fence with it. He saw all these toys floating one night after going to the toilet during the night. He came back to his room and he said all these toys were just floating.
What?
Yeah, I mean that's wild.
How did that happen?
I don't
You know?
know. Yeah, that's paranormal.
Yeah. Yeah. I live in the Southeast and it's right in the Bible Belt area of the country. So when I first got involved in this, everybody around me said, "You are asking for it. You're going to find nothing but demons. Everything is bad. Don't do that. Don't do that. You're going to hell." It's like, no, I don't think so. Um, about the science book, my mom has always not wanted me to do what I do. And she would say, "I really wish you wouldn't do that. I really wish you wouldn't do that." And I'd say, "Okay, mom, I understand, but I'm safe. I do everything I can to stay safe. And I've got an investigation this weekend. We're going to do that." And she's, "Oh, don't tell me about it." But after it's over, she'll go, "Well, did anything happen? What happened? Did anything exciting happen? I didn't think you wanted to know about this, mom."
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And as far as signs, um, when I was writing this fourth book, this is going to drop off into a um, kind of a sad portion. Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you
Okay.
don't mind.
No, no. So when I started writing the book, it was 2020, and then COVID, hit, and I lost motivation to write. And I had wanted to get that fourth book, the science book, out by Easter, and it didn't happen. So I thought, well, maybe by next Easter. So 2021 Easter came and passed, and I still hadn't started writing again. 2022 came, and at this time, I was teaching my nephew how to be a videographer for my team. And so he was training with us, and he was my mini me. He would go everywhere with me. He would do murder mysteries. He'd go to dinner with me. He'd call me up and say, "Hey, Aunt Cindy, what you doing? What you doing? And can I come over?" Yeah, you can. And so he was just a good kid. He was really good. Very talented. He could play guitar like unbelievable. He'd be listened to, hey, Aunt Cindy, have you heard the new Metallica song? Listen. And he'd pick it out. Just, he was just very talented. So anyway, fast forward to 2022, and I started writing again. I got my drive back. I started writing. And then a month later, we lost Wyatt. And it was a bad motorcycle wreck. And he was only 19 and a half. He was the only nephew. He was the only grandson. He was the only child. And my sister had been told when she was 16 years old, she'd never carry a child to term ever. And so 5 miscarriages later, she had Wyatt. And so Wyatt was like a miracle baby. And yeah, he was great. He was great. We all loved him. He got along with so many different people. And my husband pretty much adopted him as his too. So he was just a good kid. And when we lost him, it was unbelievable, for one thing. You know, you just can't wrap your head around losing somebody. You know, losing dad was hard, but he was older, you know, even though not as old as I think somebody should die at, because he wasn't even 69 years old yet. And dad, he was, you know, he died to me young, and it was hard. But then Wyatt, not even 20, and he's going to college. He's working 2 jobs. It's just him and his mom. He's helping pay the bills, just to, you know, just doing everything he can. And then he's gone. So lost motivation again. And then about 2 or 3 weeks later, it kind of washed over me like, oh, that's why I lost motivation. I was supposed to wait so I could write Wyatt's story. This was Wyatt's book. This is for Wyatt. And so his story is the first one in there after the introduction, and it's dedicated to him. It's his book. But he started showing up just almost immediately after the funeral to his mother. She at the end of the week, she shut the door to his room so she could go in at any time and still smell his cologne. You know, she left his room exactly the way he left it, and that's what she wanted. So she shut the door. It was a Friday evening, and she went to bed. Well, she came back through to get a glass of water, and the dog and the cat are sitting in front of his door, just sitting there. And she's like, well, that's what in the world? That's kind of weird. And then she notices that the light she had turned off was on. So she opens his door and notices, yep, the lights are back on. And she said, I'm sorry, baby, I'll leave it open. I'll leave it open. And so it was a little bit later that she tried closing it again. He would turn the light on. She'd go in and turn the light off. And if she came back by, it would be on. And it was there was one light in there that was a 3-way switch, click, 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 but she had a 1-way bulb in it. So you had to turn it 3 times for it to come on. He would turn that one on.
Wow.
He would open his door, and his door was one that you had to muscle your way in and shove, you know, really put your weight into it to close it. Well, so when it would open with no sound. And that door was loud. So she wouldn't hear it open. And it was things like that. And he did that almost daily for several weeks. He started showing up for mom by showing her pictures that we still can't find. We still can't find them. But she reads on a Kindle. And I came in one day and I said, "How are you?" And she was real quiet. The dogs were barking. She was real quiet. And I said, "Mom, are you okay?" She said, "I don't know." And I said, "What do you mean you don't know?" She said, uh, I just don't know. I don't feel kind of strange. I said, "What is it?" She said, "Well, for one thing, this Kindle, we need another one." And I said, "You just got that one. That one's new." And she said, "No, something's wrong with it. It keeps flipping over to another chapter and then comes back." And I said, "Are you touching it?" And she said, "No, I've got it sitting out in front of me. I'm drinking my coffee. And when I'm reading, I'll wait, flip the page, touch it to flip the page." She said, "But I'll just be sitting there and it'll flip over to the next chapter and then roll back." And she said, "It's done it 3 or 4 times." And I said, "Wait a minute. It goes like to the next chapter? Does it come exactly back where you were?" She said, "Every time it comes exactly back to where I was." And I said, "Mom, who could that be?" And she said, "Is that my baby?" I said, I think so. I think so." And she said, "Oh, I didn't know." I said, "I think it is. So next time it happens, just close it and just talk to him because he's there. He's trying to make you laugh. He's trying to get you to smile. It's been rough and he wants you to smile." And so the next time it happened, she did that. Um, then I was upset because he was my mini me. Why aren't you showing up to me? You know? And fast forward to February 23rd, 23. And I was at my sister's. Dog and cat were asleep. The television was on, but the sound was off. And she's telling me this story that maybe had something to do with Wyatt. Something happened that shouldn't have happened that got fixed, some kind of divine intervention. And so she was telling me this story, and I was taping it on my phone. Now, Wyatt had been on the investigations with us and heard my co-founder Sean say lots of times to the spirits around, "If you're here, get as close as you can to the red dot, talk as loud as you can, hopefully we can hear you." So I'm taping this story she's telling me, and it was traumatic. So I had to wait a while to transcribe it. So a couple of months later, I'm sitting on my couch, I'm transcribing the story. 6 minutes, 42 seconds in, I hear Wyatt's voice. It is the clearest, loudest EVP I've ever gotten. And it's so clear that people think it's fake. I've had people say that had to be with Wyatt there. Wyatt, it was almost a year before that he had died. He was not there, except he was there, you know? But
Wow.
I finally got confirmation from Wyatt.
Can I ask you what he said?
Yeah, would you like to hear it?
Oh yeah, if you can, if you don't mind, yeah.
No, I don't care. It'd take me just a second to find it.
Wow. That was giving me goosebumps all the way through that. And then
Well,
uh,
yeah. Listen, I, I couldn't when I first heard it, I stopped. Everything just stopped. And I rewound my phone, the recording, and I played it again. had I just imagined that? No, it was there. And so I just started crying, just bawling. And I hadn't cried yet. And so to have that, I went and banged on the bathroom door and asked my husband, "Are you in the shower yet?" He said, "No." I said, "Please come out here." And he thought something was wrong with somebody in the family. And he said, "What's wrong?" I said, "No, I just need you to listen. Just listen." And I played it for him without saying anything. And he heard it and he said, "That's Wyatt." Yeah, that's Wyatt. And he's smiling. So let me find it for you.
Wow. Wow.
All right. You're going to hear my sister telling me a story and see if you can hear the little two tap. There's two taps. And then
I said, yeah.
wait,
And
I didn't take it back far enough.
Then he said,
Okay.
he loved to talk to her about it, about
Can you hear
parts
it?
and everything. And that's when then Josh said, he said, "Your son's name was Wyatt and he drove an El Camino." And I said, "Yeah." And then he said,
you hear that?
Then he said, well, I think.
Did you hear it?
No, can you do that again? I'm so sorry.
No, not a problem. Not a problem. Am I holding it close enough? Do you
Yeah.
think?
No, I could hear that. Yeah.
Okay.
And he drove an El Camino. And I said, "Yeah." And then he
Did
said,
you hear that?
Then he said,
Is that his voice there? That clear voice?
It's not me.
Oh, I did hear that first time, but I thought that couldn't have been.
That's exactly what everybody
Oh,
said. That's exactly what everybody
oh,
said. They first is
oh
who else was
man.
there with you? And was that you that said, "Did you hear that?"
My
And
whole body has gone goosebumps.
that's what I'm saying.
That is crazy.
You want to hear it one more time?
Yeah, yeah. If you don't mind, thank you.
I don't
Wow.
mind. I don't mind.
I thought that was just someone else in the room. And
Exactly. And that's what everybody thinks. And that's why everybody thinks it's fake.
that's wild. That
All
was
right. Here we go one more time. Oop. Sorry.
he drove an El Camino. And I said, "Yeah." And then he
Did
said,
you hear that?
Then he said,
wow. I mean, that is just crystal clear, perfect. Like,
You know,
wow.
he had listened to Sean say so many times, "Get as close as you can to the red dots, speak as loudly as you can."
Yeah,
And he did. He did.
that's incredible. That's incredible.
Now, I've had several people say, "But you used your phone, so there could have been some interference there." Well, I mean, I was recording on my phone, but, and they said, "Well, maybe you had another recording of Wyatt." How did,
No,
they, I had nothing of him
no.
saying that.
That
But yeah, that's
that
my
is
baby.
probably the best EVP I've ever heard. And
Me
I've heard a
too.
lot. I've heard a lot. I think that's got to
Uh,
be the
yeah,
clearest. I mean, I was trying to hear another voice, and
right?
I heard that, so like I just didn't expect that to be the EVP. That's wild. Thank you for sharing that. I'm very
Absolutely.
sorry for
Absolutely.
your loss. And
You know, if I had been thinking this whole time, I would have been listening to anything I recorded.
yeah.
But I wasn't thinking. Wasn't thinking.
Well, have you tried to get any other messages across? I mean, I know it's difficult with this sort of thing, but
I talked to him quite a bit, but um I've got a few. We've been to a couple of places in the last couple of months, and I've not gone through all my audio yet.
Mhm.
But I have not specifically talked to Wyatt at those haunted locations. So, this was for me.
Mhm.
That one was for me.
Yeah,
And I
that's
I would love to have more,
mhm.
but
The thing is
maybe,
you don't really need any, like, you've got that incredible moment that you know that there was nothing else in the room. You know that
yeah,
that was, I mean, obviously it would be great to hear
yeah.
every day, but I mean that what an incredible, that's incredible. I've never
I
heard, I can't believe that that was the
haven't
voice.
either.
It's
I
like,
know.
because when you said, "Did you hear that?" I'm like, I must have missed it because I just heard two very clear voices.
Right,
I
right.
was I was expecting to hear like a murmur in the background somewhere, and I was like, I've not heard it.
Yeah, or a little whisper, or
Yeah, which is what you
something.
normally might hear with this sort of thing. But that was, oh wow.
That was his voice. That was Wyatt's voice.
And how can anyone explain that? Like, I mean, how can that,
And
it's,
I still have, people say, that could be something else. I don't care.
mhm.
You know, I know in my heart what happened. And it was he died April the 6th of 2022. That was February 23. So
That
he
gave
he was around. He was around.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that gave my whole body goosebumps then when you said that that was the voice. Oh my, wow.
Right.
Incredible. And just like what we were saying at the start with pets, like, do our family stick around a little while? I mean, I think they can come back and forwards
Do.
as they please.
I
Because
do too.
I get tired. I definitely get messages like times where I smell my granddad's, and I know that sounds a bit weird, but
Oh,
I'll get a smell, and it'll be
yeah.
out of the blue, and I'm like, I can smell, because both my granddads are passed, and I'll get two different smells. They both had different cologne or whatever, and I'll be like, it's my granddad Vic, and I know, and then that's my granddad Ron. I'll just know that they're there. I'll just get a fit,
Is
or that,
it at times that it's comforting to get that? Is it
oh
during
yeah.
times when something's going on that you need a little um reassurance or something?
Yeah, definitely. I've had it times where I'm might be feeling a bit down or something, but then I've had it at times where I'm just not expecting it, and I just get a smell, and I'm like, oh, like, out of nowhere, and I'll be like, that's that's what I'll do. They must be around. I also have dreams where they're in. It's so, it's like they're there. Like, I can smell them, I can feel, I can touch it, and I'm always
Wow.
like cuddling them in my dream, and it's just so
Oh,
real. And then I wake up, and I'm like, oh man. And the more I do this show and talk to people about that, that seems to be like there's something in that with dreams, that they come
yeah.
to us and come in our dreams. It's
It's because we are at our most vulnerable
mhm.
at that time. We're asleep, all of our defenses are down, and that is the easiest time for them to come in and to see us.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I'm still collecting stories if you want me to include yours.
Yeah, I'd love to. I've got something happened quite, I say recently, I'm not sure how long it was, probably about a year ago, maybe a bit longer now, but something happened where I had my nan's ring that I'd never met. It was my mum's mum, but I'd never met her. But I've always throughout my life felt a connection with her, even though I've never met her. There was always pictures around the house, and we always talked about her and stuff like that. And quite recently, I had my nan's ring, and I was going to give it to my mum who's in France. I was going to send it to her, and I've got the ring out, and it's dropped. It's gone on the floor with all other jewelry and stuff, and it's gone. It was literally disappeared. And I was like, I was I was having a bad day this day as well. Like I
Oh
was having a
no.
bad day, and I was like, I've lost the ring. And
Oh,
then I started thinking, did I even have this ring? That's how mad this was getting. I was like, I don't even know if I've actually had. It was really weird. It was
yeah.
insane. I was like, maybe I didn't have this ring. Because I'll tell you what it was. So I had a pot of jewelry, and this ring was in that pot. So there was other jewelry in there as well.
Yeah.
And I started thinking maybe I've opened this box and thought this ring was in there, but
Right.
it wasn't. So I started doubting myself, and I started saying, no, this ring can't have been in there because it was gone. I found every other piece of jewelry, but this ring was gone, and I was looking for what felt like ages, and I gave up. I was like, no, it's gone. The ring's gone. And I was like, it made me feel sick. I was like, I can't
Yeah.
believe I've lost this ring, or I might not have even had this ring. And I thought I had this ring the whole time, and I hadn't. Told my mum I was going to send it to her. Anyway, a little bit of time's gone by. I've gone back up. I'm going to have another look. Right. Opened up my cupboard to where I was looking before. I'm getting goosebumps now. And it was just there, sitting right in front of me where I'd looked. It just, there's no way it could have happened. It was just wild. And I was like, oh man. And then I just got this amazing feeling. The bad stuff that I was worried about that day, that I was having a bad day, was just like, that doesn't even matter anymore. And I just felt amazing.
Yeah.
That was, I did, that was, yeah, that was my recent experience as well. I don't know if I've shared that on the show yet, but that was,
Wow.
yeah, that was a message.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, spirits, they're on a different timeline. They're on a different frequency. I've found that in EVP work, they can, when they're speaking, if you flip the EVP around, and I've not tried this with all of them. I found, like when I'm doing EVP work, if I get a sentence and there's an extra syllable or two in it, it kind of sounds like stuttering or something. I'll turn that around and there's a complete other sentence reversed, completely different. And, if they can talk backwards and forwards at the same time, can't they time jump? And, you know, so did she know that you were going to have a bad day and needed that reassurance?
Mhm.
So she took the ring at first and then put it back later. Uh, who knows?
That's how it felt. That's how it felt. I mean, I was adamant that the ring was gone, and then it was so weird that I've even thought maybe the ring was never there. Maybe I
Yeah,
just thought the ring was in there, but I'd seen it, but I was still doubting myself that it wasn't there because I couldn't find it, and it was
yeah.
just, and then it was just sitting there like in a normal position that should have been. I should have seen it easily.
You
No
would
one,
have seen it.
and I was home alone that day. No one else was in there that could have moved it, or it was very weird. But and it did, it lifted my mood completely, like because I knew what had happened.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They come back. They can check in
Hmm.
so
Well,
many different times.
what people, because I've talked to people that have had near-death experiences and things like that, and what people always say about the other side, even with astral projection and things like that, is that time is, it doesn't mean anything, and that's like how we perceive time here is not what it is, you know, and so that would make sense of what you're saying. That.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what all they can do.
Hmm.
We have no idea.
Yeah.
But I, if I found forward and backward sentences on the same, EVP,
Mm.
what else can they do?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no telling.
Yeah.
There's no telling.
And with our
So
technologies getting better and stuff, will we be able to start communicating better? Have you heard of the Staticom guys?
of the what it who?
Staticom guy, the Staticom. They've been on the show, and I'm going to butcher what they do, so I won't say what it is, but they've produced a new way to connect with the other side, basically, and that they've made their own technology. I don't know, I can't explain exactly. I'll have to listen back to the episodes to
I'll have
the
to
actual.
listen.
Yeah, so I don't know when it was quite a while ago they was out, but I'll find them and send them to you. And
Please.
basically, they've found a new way to communicate, and it's not with spirit box and stuff. It's I can't explain it. It's very scientific, but it's their own technology that they've created, and they're getting amazing results where they're talking to people. They're talking to like family members, and it's like they can ask a question, they get a direct answer straight back and stuff. It's mind blowing. But I'll send you
Wow.
the episodes for that.
Oh, I'd love to watch it.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's very interesting what they're doing.
Nice. Nice.
So yeah.
We can learn so much from each other.
Hmm. Oh
And
yeah.
I love doing co-investigations with other teams.
Hmm.
And you learn something from everybody. Even if somebody is just starting out, they might have a really good idea. So
Yeah.
if we just listen, we can learn so much from each other. It doesn't matter how long you've been in the paranormal. It doesn't
100%.
matter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Because as
Yeah.
you know, nobody's really got the answers. Like even
No,
people that have been doing it all their lives, and even mediums, and nobody's got
no.
all the
We're just
answers.
you're
We're
just
all learning.
scratching the surface. We're
Yeah,
just scratching the surface. We know so little. So little. Um, man, if we had somebody like Tesla back, I
yeah,
mean, what could he have come up with by now,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
There's no
I
telling.
mean that's a rabbit hole if we go down there.
Right?
I don't know
Right.
if we've got time for that one.
Okay. Another time. Another time.
Another time for sure. I've got to ask you before we wrap up, because we've been going for quite a while. But when you saw the little girl and you saw the red-headed lady,
Mhm.
were they full-bodied?
The redheaded lady was, the little girl was peeking through a door. And it was when we were doing a public investigation. We were taking people on tours, and we had split up groups. And my group was in the maternity ward where the little girl hung out. And I was standing in the hallway. They were in the delivery room, in the tiled delivery room, and I was standing outside the door. And I saw something out of the corner of my eye, and I looked really quick, and I saw her straight on, and she knew I saw her, and she sucked back in through the doorway and was gone. That I got to see her.
Did you see her in like full color as well?
No, it was more um grays, you know,
Hmm.
just you could see features, you could see how her hair was pulled, and different things like that. But it was the little girl.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Cool thing to see.
yeah. I've only
Wow.
seen her that one time though.
Mhm. Yeah. Wow. I've got to ask you as well, because of the area that you're in Tennessee. Bigfoot, cryptids. Have you gotten interested in those subjects?
I am beginning to, mainly because I'm on the podcast.
Hmm.
We're getting to talk to cryptologists and ufologists, and just different people are coming on, and I know nothing about this kind of thing. So I'm learning more and more with each show that we have.
Hmm.
I do know that there is a cryptid in my area, in this little town. I live in um, Lincoln County, Tennessee, and in the little town called Flintville. Flintville has a cryptid that is similar to a Bigfoot, and it's called the Flintville Monster. And this thing is aggressive, whereas the regular Bigfoots, I think, just they try to stay away, and if you see them, they're gone, and that kind of. But the Flintville Monster has actually attacked a couple of people,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, hit a car and just that kind of thing. So it's more aggressive, and it is. I've heard a couple of people say it's white. So I don't know if that means it's like a Yeti or if it's an old Bigfoot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Interesting. I've heard a
Yeah.
lot of people talk of white Bigfoots in Tennessee. That seems
Really?
to be, yeah. Interesting. Have you spoken
There's
to people that have seen it?
yes, yes. And it's actually from where it's seen the most is about within 3 to 5 miles of where I live now.
Oh, wow.
And there's actually there was a Bigfoot sign. It was a Bigfoot crossing, on one of the
Yeah.
gravel roads out in the country, not too far from me. So I think somebody stole that though. It's in their wall or something. But yeah, so that's like within 5 miles of me.
Oh, man, you're in squatchy area. That
Yeah,
is cool.
right. But Tennessee's got a lot of weird cryptids too, not just the Glentville Monster. There's like the Tennessee Wild Man, and um, there's the oh,
Dog man.
it's a what is it?
You got the dog man? The dog men?
No, no. I think maybe the Wild Man is similar to Dog Man, but I don't think it's the same thing completely. And there is a Black Panther like creature up in the Appalachians, and there's another one in the Appalachian area called the not deer. Have you heard of that one?
I don't think I have.
Very weird. It's a deer, except from a distance you think it's a normal deer, but as you get closer to it, the eyes aren't on the side of its head, they're in front, and it looks very emaciated. So they don't know if it's a real deer that has some kind of disease or if it's a cryptid. But
Interesting.
yeah, yeah. It seems like there's a like a river monster in the Chattanooga area. I can't think of that one's name, but yeah, we've got all kinds of
Yeah, you got
strange.
a lot of legend and lore there. It's a
Yeah,
cool,
yeah.
cool place. That's what I say. I'm coming over. That is for
You got
sure.
to. And the Bell Witch, if you've ever heard of the Bell Witch,
Yeah,
that's in
heard of the Bell
Tennessee.
Witch.
Yeah.
Spearfinger, is that right? The
Yeah,
Spearfinger?
Spearfinger also. That's a different one.
Yeah,
Spearfinger, I think is over um East Tennessee, I think. That's a Native American
yeah.
one. So
I'm coming over. That is
you
for
got
sure.
you gotta, you gotta.
I have loved talking to you tonight. Thank you
I
so much for coming on.
I have had the best time.
It has been
Let me
awesome.
know. Let me know. I'll come back on sometime.
Yeah, 100%. You're welcome back anytime.
Twist my arm. Just twist my arm.
Can you tell the listeners where they can find you, your
Yeah.
podcast, your books, everything?
Yeah. So I am on Facebook, Cyn Schrader Hill author. You can, if you've got a story for me, like signs from your loved ones that you would like for me to write about, or if you've got a spooky tale that you would like to send me to put into a later book, you can send that to Cyn Schrader Hill author at gmail.com. And hang on. Did you hear that noise?
No.
Did you hear all that? Okay, good.
What was it? I want to know what it was, though.
Well, it's my cat. One of my cats is telling me it is past time to eat. And
Yeah.
so she started clawing, and I thought, oh, I've got to, what can I, that's not going to hurt her if I throw it. So I threw a pencil at her. But
Get
yeah,
off the podcast.
done. Wait a minute. But let's see. I'm on Facebook. Elk Valley Paranormal is also on Facebook. You can also go to elkvalleyparanormal.com to my website and see all the evidence I was telling you about. All the EVPs are there, the old hospital, different things like that. My podcast, you can find me on Sunday nights at 6:05 Central Time. And yeah, that's right. Yes. And that is Legit Paranormal Podcast. And on Wednesday night, Legit Paranormal News Podcast. That's at 7:05 Central. So we've got several different shows throughout the week. If you're interested in those, it's Legit Podcast.
Awesome.
And just send me a message. Tell me hi or something.
Awesome.
I've enjoyed this. This has been great.
I've loved talking to you tonight. Thank you so much. I'm going to share the links in the show description so people can find you easily. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, and the books are on Amazon. I did not say that at the end, but yes, all the books are.
Awesome.
Oh, and if you have Kindle and you have Kindle Unlimited, they're free. They're free.
Oh, wow. That's
See?
cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I will share all the links in the show description. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you tonight. Let's do it again soon.
Please.
Guys, if you've enjoyed the show, make sure you share it. Head over to the podcast, give it 5 stars, show some love. We're going to be back very, very soon for more freaky conversations. In the meantime, stay safe and we'll see you soon. Keep it freaky. Bye for now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.